Hello, everyone. Welcome to the number 35 Kubernetes Sydney meetup tonight. This is a little bit unusual timing. So we usually run all these meetups every third Thursday of the month, but because of few clashes, we had to run it on fourth Wednesday this time. So welcome back. Just before we kick off, a bit of announcement that this year, we are running our meetups at two venues on alternate basis. So last month, we kicked off the series for this year at Microsoft Reactor. And this month, it is at AWS. Next month, it is going to be at Reactor again. So we'll do an alternate at Microsoft Reactor and then AWS. Which is good, right? So because Kubernetes is cloud agnostic, and we don't want it to be seen as like AWS supported or focused. So that's why we'll be running 1 week at AWS, another week at Microsoft. Just a quick update. So we have just recently introduced this social sort of connections page at Linktree. So rather than having to go to different links. So all you need to do is follow this link at Linktree, and that's where you'll see all the updates and the like LinkedIn, Meetup, or other sort of information related to the Kubernetes meetups or this particular group related information at one place. So just to give you a bit of an idea, so this is how it looks like at the very top. If you want to subscribe to the Linktree page, please feel free to press that bell button and subscribe. What that will give you is the access to all the discount vouchers, all the newsletter access, and also any promotions that we are running. So it has the newsletter links, also all the code cloud or the cybersecurity related discounts that we have. Also, there's this thing which I'll touch upon a bit more in detail later on that we are running for this particular month, March, which is Share the Joy of 100% off. So there's a community of all the volunteers who are willingly giving away their 100% free vouchers for people to use to sit for an exam or to make use of our training platform and things like that. Also, I'll share the QR code, but on the far right, in the middle, you'll see the link to Kubernetes Australia number 35 meetup folder. So I encourage everyone, if you want to, click photos and please upload all the photos there. You will see other people also uploading the photos there. So if you feel or if you see an interesting photo of yourself, feel free to download it. Please don't delete any of the photos from there. Here is the QR code for the photos. If you want to scan it, feel free to click as many photos as you want, and please upload, don't delete any photos from there. Acknowledgement of the country. So we, Kubernetes Australia, respectfully acknowledges the traditional land of Gadigal Nation people. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. So for tonight, we have two really interesting talks lined up. So one is by Puneet on improving developer efficiency, a practical guide for cloud-native enterprises. And then we have awesome Michael. There he is, talking about Pragmatic AI strategy, designing for continuous quality and cost efficiency. Then we'll have a quiz time. So for people who are attending this meetup for the first time, so at the end of talks in every meetup, we run a quiz on the topics or the questions are basically from the topics that are run during that night, and then top 10, top 5, depending on how many prizes we have, we give away some really cool prizes and swags for the people. So I'll touch upon what are the prizes for tonight. I'll keep it a bit of secret. There's a special prize for tonight. People who have been following our posts on LinkedIn, they'll probably already know what it is, but we have a special edition of a prize this time. So we have this program of CubeStrong. So it is pretty much in line with CubeStronaut program where you complete all the 5 certifications and you are recognized as a CubeStronaut. What is CubeStrong? It is basically the empowerment of the community coming together to learn together and be more efficient. So as you might already see, if you have already passed some of the certification exams, you are rewarded with either 50% discount or 100% discount vouchers from the vendor. So people who are not going to use it, they happily give away their 50% discount vouchers or 100% certification exam vouchers to the community as part of this community. Yeah, get certified cheaper using those discounted codes and grow stronger in your career. Just a quick overview of our volunteers and organizers in Australia. So Suzanne and Yongkong, they are supporting the Kubernetes or K8SUG community globally from a technical writer perspective. And Yongkang, he's the one who actually started this group from Singapore, and then it has expanded. So Thiago, he's the lead organizer in Melbourne. Myself, I'm the lead organizer here in Sydney, and then we have an awesome team supporting me, Felix, Ram, Faisal. We are all here. Thanks to our sponsors tonight. So as always, AWS for sponsoring the venue, and we have Puneet from WSO2 for sponsoring the food and drinks for us. We have a global footprint. So we, as I stated, started from Singapore, then slowly expanded into Australia, Canada. Now we have presence in India as well, and Philippines. Just a quick snapshot of the upcoming events. So if anyone is interested in attending any of these events, any of these Kubernetes related events, and you happen to be in that particular city or country at that day, feel free to just register for these events there. Then we have this online webinar that's coming up on 16th of April. So Nebula Section is the company that I work for. That's my company. So we are running a multi-cloud containers from control to chaos webinar, which is basically around how gradually a multi-cloud, multi-container environment can become too messy without proper controls. So we'll be talking about the challenges in a multi-cloud container environment. Then there is another event, a roundtable that's coming up in collaboration with WSO2 and AWS, which is a roundtable. It is more suitable for the C-suite level people. It is more of a roundtable CIO, CPO, CEOs. So if any of you happen to be interested in that event, feel free to scan the QR code and register for it. I guess there'll be someone sitting there who will review the registrations and they'll approve your registrations based on the thing. Just quickly on CubeStronaut, it's been going on for quite some time now. So as I touched on, CubeStronaut is a program where if you pass all the 5 certifications on CKS, CKA, CKAD, KCNA, and KCES, I think it's called. So KCSA, you get this blue check and you're recognized as a well-known, highly technical person in the Kubernetes industry. These are some of the promotion codes for the Kubernetes members. So the community members, if you're interested in using any of these codes, if you're looking for doing a certification in Kubernetes, then these are some of the promotion codes that are running at the moment. specifically for the Kubernetes Meetup members. So feel free to click a photo if you want to use any of those discounted codes. On top of it, there's also 50% off on the container security workshop. Cool. Now, as I was saying, so we have this program of, sorry, I'll just do this. Yeah, Share the Joy 50% off campaign. So far, we have donated about 80 vouchers that has been donated by the volunteers within the community to other people who are part of the community. And there are 30 plus more people who are willing to donate. Similarly, specifically for March, we have the free vouchers, which is Share the Joy of 100% off campaign. So in January and February, we have had 7 lucky winners who received 2 Kubernetes courses plus exam worth $595 and also the CKA vouchers. Also, usually during our meetup, we give away the top 3 participants in the leaderboard, 3 6-month licenses of the Code Cloud. But as part of this, these people, they got 1 year worth of license on Code Cloud platform. So people who don't know, Code Cloud is a online training platform for all the DevOps related courses. Now, feel free to follow us on LinkedIn, be part of the WhatsApp community. We have a global community of all the volunteers who want to be part of the Kubernetes ecosystem. And with that, without taking too much time, I'll hand it over to our first speaker for tonight, Puneet, who is gonna talk about improving developer efficiency, a practical guide for cloud native enterprises. Please welcome Puneet on the stage.
And of course, developers are known for not following the golden path, and the golden path is not golden, but it's all about, hey, this is the right way to deploy, right? It's how you want to deploy in here, have someone review it and then move to
talking in between here.
No, so they can only see, because you didn't join the audio,
Yeah,
so they can only see the slides. Now it should be fine.
right. So all this while they didn't hear what I was saying in the slides.
Not online.
Oh no.
So on the screen, they can't hear anything.
Yeah. Apologies for the guys who were joined online. I'm sorry. I thought the audio channel was going in without me connecting. So to avoid the echo, I said I'm not going to join. So yeah, I don't know if I can give you a summary of what I was talking about, but yeah. So I've done most of the things I've done, right? So I've pointed my configuration. I've said that's where my source code is. Let's get running. Okay, so the first step is build, right? So it's already building. It usually doesn't take time, but it looks like it's the busiest time of the day. And I'm still on one of the not the premium accounts. I'm still using the free one that comes. So yeah, here is where I want to build the code. So it's taken the platform is sent to the source code repository. It's actually connecting to the repository, understanding what's the code deployed, depending on the Docker configuration, or it's generating a container, it's building the container. At the same time, it's going to also check into the container repository. So before I can deploy, I'm validating the build part of it, right? Now, of course, we can have a platform engineer help us, but I, being a developer, I can do this myself. So let's see if I can see what's happening here. So there are build actions that have been started, and it's going for a while. Okay, looks like the build is perfect, right? So what's the next step? After you build, you want to deploy it, right? And this is where I'm going to hit the deploy button here. And as you can see, I've got the default setup. I've got the dev and the prod, right? So the pre-prod and the prod technically. So this is where I configure the configure and deploy. So this is where it gives me an option, right? So if I've used security, best practices and variables, and inject my credentials at the runtime, this is where I would do it. And I'm just going to go click, and it's going to deploy in the development. And this is where it says you've got an API in it. How do you want to manage the API? Okay, and I'm going to say deploy. So this is roughly 8 or 9 minutes, I would say, where I was able to deploy a code. And yeah, and then the next step is, it's still deploying, but I can't cover it. But then comes the question of, okay, it's deployed. How do I test it, right? And this is where after the initial test, I could do a manual test, and I'm going to quickly run through it that the API runs, and all of it is on the public URL, right? And you can see the URL and hello stranger. Yeah. And then guess what? AI. We can communicate, we can chat with the API as well, right? So I can just quickly type and say, hey, just execute the get API, and it will figure out what the input has to be and the output, and run. So quickly, what I'll do is I'll quickly give you an overview of the managed part of it, or the DevOps part of it, right? So I've got, so Anubhav has given me just 1 minute. So this is where I want to see what's my CPU usage has been, right? So I want to ensure that this scales up as well. So I don't want to worry about, hey, I wrote my code, now it's not able to handle. I've written a really popular service, it's going to have 200 transactions per second, right? So how do I scale up, right? So this is where I can monitor my CPU and memory consumptions. I can define how do I want to scale up. So again, this gives you an idea of, this is where you can configure how much CPU your container can request. This is where you have the config and the secrets, the health checks configured. And yeah, and then also, if time permits, I would like to show you the insights of usage-based stuff as well, right? What has been used, how much it has been used, and the cost part of it, right? So what I'll do is I'll do a quick pause here, and I want to thank you all for giving me this opportunity. So I'm going to hang around here, and if there is some time after Michael's session, and if you want to know more, I'm happy to talk to you about it. Okay, hopefully you guys had something to take away from this session, right? So again, we all are striving towards becoming a better platform engineers, right? And this is one of the tools that's available, right? So with that, I'm going to thank you all. Thank you, thanks to the community for giving me this opportunity to talk to you guys. And yeah, I hope to chat with you again.
We have some time to take a couple of questions. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Informative. So how is it different from maybe a GitHub Actions or Azure DevOps or GitLab pipelines and
Correct. That was my pitfall number one, right? So they all of those platforms that you spoke about, right? They just talk about the CI or CD part of it, right? And then what you do is typically you take that CI CD and you integrate it with, let's say, EKS or AKS, right? So what you do is think of it as if you were to start a new project, okay, what you have to go and you have to do is, okay, start copy a template of your Azure DevOps pipeline, spin up a EKS cluster. With the EKS cluster, I will do the security, some of the AWS guy and Azure guy. So systems manager for storing the secrets. I need to ensure I have permission the right IAM roles for the cluster. So I have to do a lot of these things before I can start the deploy, right? So the idea of having IDP is that you don't have to do these repeatable steps every time again. So you can launch new APIs, new services faster, and it takes care of a lot of things. Right now, CloudWatch, the log analytics part of it, the cost manager part of it, and again, configuring those services requires specific skills, and you have to maintain them on an ongoing manner. The moment you're talking about developer teams focusing on specific functions of the business, all of that could become very complex.
how would it work for the enterprise scenarios or the production scenarios? Like I have an application which I'm running on KKS or EKS or on-premises Kubernetes or Azure. So how would you help me simplifying the deployment vis-a-vis compared to the other things like we, or maybe you can also add HashiCorp Cloud in the Terraform Cloud also.
Correct. So think of it as so HashiCorp Cloud does just one thing, just security management.
No, I'm not talking about one. I'm talking about the Terraform Cloud.
Correct, and that probably does just the infrastructure, the core part of it, the provisioning part of it, right? Can you, okay, how do I manage the code part of it? So if I'm writing an API and let's say Spring Boot or Node.js or whatever it is, right? How do I connect all of those, right? So they do address part of the problems, okay? And to do that, so let's stick to the example that you've given, right? So I will have to take Azure DevOps, integrate with the HashiCorp for the infrastructure, the code provision, infrastructure provision, and the services, right? AKS or EKS and stuff, right? So someone has to spend time and integrate and build all of those. And think of it as if you have to do something like that for every other project. How long will it take?
There are templates basically. You run those templates or you run those YAML pipelines or you just repeat it for the project. So
Yeah.
So I was just curious, and I know it's the platform, it's a SaaS service.
Yes.
You are providing all these things, but so let's say if I have to run my application on a Kubernetes using Choreo, how will I do it? I mean, I have to set up a AKS cluster. I have to still integrate it. So what benefit I will get using a Choreo? Just in that it's an open source, I can configure, I can customize it, and then I can host it on my own server or those things.
Yeah.
Apart from that.
So you could probably, if you are, so you, just the way I showed you today, right? If you had a source code, you could actually go ahead and deploy without provisioning your own Kubernetes cluster. So you could start with your code, which runs locally, and deploy it in production or in development at least when you make it start. And all of it in a way that your organization likes. For example, hey, I can't have public facing API. If there are public facing APIs, they have to be protected. You know, they all have to be. So what it's doing here is it's enforcing the practice, what the enterprise practice is, and ensuring that whatever you do while you as a developer, you have the freedom to write your own API, your own code, but you are doing it within the governance guardrails that the organization sets. Right? So you don't have to worry about, hey, did I expose an API without security on it? Did I provision security credentials on it, like in source code, does we have the keys in it? Or did I forget to add observability to it? Let's forget to have insights part of it into it, right? And what if that API that I built was how can I track the cost part of it, right? So there are these different parts of things that you have to worry about, and rather than you worrying about each and everything, you are free from that worry. The developer just focuses on the business use case and it's working.
Just to follow on that, I assume that means as long as you have a team that's configured to do all that for you.
Correct, correct. And again, it's not about, this platform is not to replace platform, but this is the default template that's available. But for example, my company, not my company, but one bank could have 3 different models, right? So of course, there are platform engineers available, but it's all about giving you a platform which allows you to deploy those APIs faster.
Just in the interest of time, Puneet will be here until the end of the event. So if you have any further questions, feel free to grab him and pick his brain. Just in the interest of time, we'll move on. And thank you, Puneet, for such a fantastic presentation.
Thank you.
There is this book called Digital Transformation Roadmap by David Rogers, and he talks about how the businesses who are not adopting digital transformation, they are lagging behind. It's the era of digital transformation. It was manufacturing many years.
Awesome.
Check.
Can you speak something?
Hello. How are you?
Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm speaking for myself. I work for Red Hat, but since I defended my PhD thesis in 2006 about it is in computer science about enterprise architectures. I have been publishing from time to time about quality, even built an Udemy course about reliability and chaos engineering and litmus chaos and stuff. And I worked a little bit as a data engineer, even completed machine learning certificate on Coursera and studied mathematics behind it. So there will be a little of mathematics because it's a second part, right? So I understand we will be quick. And I will be publishing a follow-up article on LinkedIn after this presentation in a week. So you will be able to, who is interested, to look closer into mathematics and details, right? So basically, if you ask me, what are 2 major takeaways from my speech? First is cost is important from day one. And second is continuous quality is important, not just quality. So it is ongoing cost on you. And again, it is about cost, right? So before investing into AI, you need to be ready. It is like purchase of a car, right? It's not just one-time purchase. You need to be ready to pay for service, right? To change wheels, to buy fuel. Same with AI. Because if you if you invest in AI, because of nature of this product, it will diminish in quality and may lie to you. So you need to continuously keep an eye on its quality, right? So please be ready for this ongoing cost of AI. And now this is formal agenda, right? So I'll try to outline business needs, how I understand them, speaking to many customers. Before joining Red Hat 2.5 years ago, I had been contracting across different customers, primarily in Sydney for 4 years. So I saw quite a few, business cases. Then we will quickly discuss mathematics and most importantly, how classical machine learning mathematics of quality can be applied to generative AI. It's quite an interesting bit. And in the third part, because I focus in my day-to-day job on OpenShift and OpenShift AI as platforms, I will mention that. But they are not the only open source platforms to support high continuous quality of AI ML models, right? I will mention that. So, it's not a promotional speech from Red Hat, right? And then we will have questions and answers. So first of all, business need and specialized AI models. I guess everyone had played with one form or another of generative AI, either Gemini, Bard, or ChatGPT, right? And sometimes it hallucinates, sometimes it lacks some knowledge. And those times are normally related to lack of domain-specific knowledge. Because, for example, if, I don't know, you are doing biotechnology and your organization has a lot of information about past experiments, and if you ask ChatGPT about it, it doesn't know anything, right? Like, no wonder. Second, accuracy and relevance. It goes to the same point. Like, why is it all? Because the data which was used, even curated data, it is from books, not from your particular case of your environment, right? In other words, what companies need, especially in this advent of agentic AI, right? When there are many models, they want those models to understand their case, be specific to their environment, right? Next is data gravity, privacy, and security of data. It's not too easy for enterprises and can be dangerous to just upload, gigabytes of their confidential data to some provider. So, I mean, it's possible, but it's not an easy step normally, right? Another important bit is data gravity. What it means is that for training, you need a lot of data. Everyone knows it. It started with machine learning, right? All right. If you place your training compute capacity in some remote location and your data is in your data center, then it will be a lot of back and forth, right? In terms of volume, just bulk volume of data. So why data gravity is important? Because this term means that data attracts compute. It means we want to place compute capacity next to the data. So they're in the same subnet or even on the same machine, right? It's quite important. Also, in general, fine-tuned, specialized language models, they outperform generic LLMs, right, in summary. And there are several machine learning operational platforms in the market. Some of them are open source, which you can use as baking factories, so to speak, to continuously, ensure quality of your specialized models. Normally, you don't build models from scratch. OpenAI invests too much, right? DeepSeek proved it. So you can do even better. You can take a base model, so to speak, generic human who can reason. And using technique of fine-tuning, improve reasoning ability. When you have the specialized part, you can relatively easily merge that fine-tuned model into the base model, and then use something like VLLM to serve the single model with your updates, right? It's one of possible techniques. In the beginning, I mentioned about quality. So even if you, during training, you can choose, to monitor metrics using your training set, verification set, all sets of data you have. But, to be honest, in real life, it doesn't matter. Like, I understand it sounds provocative, right? But why it doesn't matter? Because real data is real data. It's not what you had during training. So always something different, right? Otherwise, why you need AI if you have all data in the world already, right? So that's why it's important to monitor quality, how this AI performs all the time with real data. And the first example is based. This subject was actually suggested to me by ChatGPT, right? Because I invented first an example with bottle shops in Australia and US because of the different legal age when people can consume alcohol, 18 and 21. And ChatGPT suggested that maybe if I want to speak about banking sector, I need to choose something like credit approval. So it used my idea, but it gave better analysis. So thanks AI. And the example is as follows. Some company in Europe, primarily in Germany, they trained model in terms of whether to approve a loan or not. And and then they started expanding into Australian market and tried to apply this data. And it didn't work well. Why? Because in Germany, the habits of people who are actually trustworthy, right? They are different than in Australia. Because in very young age in Germany, people buy credit products from financial institutions, right? While in Australia, the pattern is different, and people get actually loans at a late age. In other words, in Germany, if a person doesn't have credit history at the age of 21, it is extremely strange. In Australia, it is normal, right? So the model which trained to whether to approve or not the loan, as you can see here, you see in the red, you see a distribution of German data, and this is monitoring of how AI considers approval or disapproval of application. So you see that in the top, it is age, for example, and there are many customers who got approval at this early age because the approval is in the bottom. However, the blue data, it is for Australia. So they don't apply for credit, and their approval is correspondingly much less when they're quite young, which is wrong. So because it is lost business for this financial institution, people who could have, they should have trusted the people and give the loan, but they judge them as people from Germany, but they need to judge them as people from Australia. Again, it happened during runtime. So this data-driven detection should be always enabled in inference time and time when decisions are being made. Next one is about unintended discrimination. So, for example, we need to build an AI model, and there is such feature as either it's male or not male, right? Non-male. So, if you train the data with on historical data of approval and show 95% of, for example, non-male customers, right? Then people come 50% male, 50% non-male, right? The model doesn't understand what happens, and it gives wrong decisions because either of the sexes is unintendedly discriminated, right? Just because the model was trained on that data. Okay, if you train data very well in the very beginning, with good proportion, for example, as time goes, there is some adverse situation in the job market, and for example, in that particular region, male customers, they are temporarily losing work, right? And it is just a fluctuation of the market, but the model considers it and can overcompensate, diffusing them in acceptance of loan. You see, because it was not trained to do that. So it means it's important to continuously monitor this bias and fairness. And there are technologies for that. I'll speak about a bit later. What about generative AI? You can also assess its quality, and I'll speak about it a little bit later. So one of pioneers in terms of understanding of natural language is Terry Winograd. He is a professor emeritus at Stanford University. In the middle of the slide, you see example of a sentence. The city councilman refused the demonstrators a permit because they feared violence. Like, who are they here? Councilmen or demonstrators, right? So just syntactic check of this sentence will not tell you. So you need to actually reason. And humans and some AI system would say that they, pronoun they here refers to councilmen, right? Rather than demonstrators. So this using works of Winograd around natural language understanding, there was a great effort in the 2000s, right, about how to narrow down reasoning quality to a binary regression classification problem. So, for example, if we say, let's have a premise and hypothesis. For example, premise is Sarah has a high credit score and long-term employment. And then hypothesis, the test, Sarah is financially stable, right? We will specify that it should be entailment, right? In other words, this hypothesis should follow, is truthy, right? Is true from this premise. Or it can be non-entailment and it will be zero. You see, we are getting there, right? It's either 1 or 0. Getting better, right? Getting closer to figures. Another thing which is important to measure the knowledge base, and such thing as massive multitask language understanding is a benchmark, which is not too smart in terms of structure. It is just question and answers, right? But it is very smart in the data which was prepared for the benchmark. It was built by professionals in different areas using some academic and exam questions. And it will check your model in terms of ability to answer to this answer these questions. Sorry. Yeah, so let's quickly discuss mathematics. So with this, either entailment or non-entailment, either following or non-following of some hypothesis from a premise, there are 4 possible outcomes. Can be true positive, false negative, and true negative, right? Which is a standard binary classification problem. So we can use our, I guess some of you know this from machine learning, right? There is a term of precision, completeness, or precision, relevance, recall, completeness of answer, right? And some metrics related to how to combine it. So we want to both respect how this model is complete in given answers. At the same time, in these complete answers, we are interested in the only correct ones, right? So there are 2 aspects, and they are called precision and recall. So again, it's all built on classical machine learning terminology and mathematics behind it. So this formula shows like why it's called F1 score, because 1 is a coefficient in some more generic formula. So if you value both completeness and relevance, then you just put that coefficient 1. That's why it is called F1 score, no? And this screen on the left, please don't read it. Yeah, those are rows with a bunch of premises and hypotheses for which some generative AI model was asked. And they were recorded actual answers of the model, as well as, actual ground truth answers, right? Following or non-following of hypothesis from premise, as well as predicted by the model. So we see here that it's relatively good precision and recall, right? And quality is relatively high. So basically what we do logically, we take a generative AI, we feed this premise and ask, is hypothesis following from this premise? Yes or no? And we record that. So it's how we assess quality of reasoning by the model. And speaking about data drift, there are several techniques. The most straightforward one is measuring mean shift. So it comes back to that German and Australia loan approval example, right? So we take, for example, for credits, we take average of credit score in training data. Credit score is one of the features, right? Then we take average of credit score in real data. For example, every 1 hour when we are doing actually inference, right? When we are doing prediction. And then we compare them. You know, if they are too far, it means that the model was trained in one data and now it's seeing different data. So the metric for that is called mean shift. If it is too high, it means model trained to differentiate between cars is asked like, should I buy banana or apples? You know, something like that. Yeah, we also take into account variation. So in the follow-up article, you will be able to dig further into mathematics. But the principle is clear, right? The data is too different, so we are not able to trust the model. It wasn't trained to answer that. And for unintended discrimination, it's about statistical parity difference. So it sounds complicated, but it is not too much complicated, right? For example, if we have a protected group, there are different legislation acts in different countries. So this unintended differentiation might not be not only unethical, it can be illegal actually. So what we do, we continuously track if protected group is, for example, female or male identifying, right? We track credit approval. If it is too different, then we can have alert. We can define alert in OpenShift, as I will show a bit later. So it doesn't mean, you know, there is a bias, but there is a good chance something is wrong with our data. For example, we are approving loan application only to men, and we are not approving to women. And the difference is like 3 times. We want to have alert for that in real time to investigate the case, because we are suspicious model is doing unintended discrimination, right? Yeah, so we discussed the importance. Is it 5 minutes or? Good, yeah. So now the technology part. So OpenShift AI is, you know, a flavor of Kubernetes plus it is an application platform. So there is a lot of added value. You know, before joining Red Hat, I had been building Kubernetes platform as a platform engineer for like 2 or 3 customers. And to be honest, several times I reinvented the same several times. So OpenShift is, you know, opinionated, curated platform by the vendor, right? It's open source. And of course, it supports AI. So this is not new. I mean, it's not all started when generative AI got onto the stage. this product was being built under different name for many years, primarily for predictive AI, for machine learning. So what you can do, for example, you can use Kubeflow backed by the Tekton orchestrator. You can use Ray during, it was mentioned in some recent subject. And you can use monitoring. So Trusty AI operator does bias and data-driven detection, and it also integrates frameworks for evaluation with those techniques to measure quality of reasoning, for example, and knowledge. It is all built into Trusty AI operator. It supports model mesh. It supports K8SUG, Cloudflare. In terms of cost efficiency, which we mentioned in the very beginning, I would say there are three strategies. Of course, there are more. Please pay attention to cost strategically, right, when you invest into AI. So one of them is hybrid AI. You can use data gravity. You want to deploy your compute for training next to your data. And hybrid cloud readiness fits very well, right? So you can run your Kubernetes workloads on premises or in some of the cloud, right? Depending where your data sits. So you don't need to move the data back and forth. And because of, for example, compliance and regulation reasons, right? Thanks to Kubernetes in the heart, optimized GPU allocation is possible, right? It's like you say, my pod requires a GPU, but once training is complete, it can be used by another workload, as simple as that. And the technique of retrieval augmented generation and a lot of fine-tuning, they are described quite in detail with analogy of big table. It should be understandable even by non-machine learning expert, right? You can read in my first article in the series on LinkedIn. So in summary, retrieval augmented generation, it is about retrieval. If you have a question, then have some fresh data related to that question, get it, and ask generative AI model inclusive of that fresh data, right? This is retrieval augmented generation. A lot of fine-tuning is about, if you have billions of parameters, it is linear algebra, right? You can add two much smaller matrices multiplied by each other. And during, backpropagation training with data, you say, I freeze all these billions of parameters, only these small matrices should be updated during backpropagation. That's why it's faster and it requires less resources. When you train like that, you can merge, in the very end, you can say, now merge all this new knowledge to reason back into the original model and run it with VLLM, right? So, but again, you can have a look later. So why it is about cost efficiency? Because a lot of fine-tuning is about less resources needed for fine-tuning. And retrieval augmented generation allows you to have immediacy and freshness of your data without expensive fine-tuning, right? So there are different techniques. So how much time do we have?
Pretty much at task.
Yeah, okay. So it's a sample with legal document analysis, and you again, please read in my article, and some shifts. So we can, for example, use cloud to spin up resources and innovate quickly, but high cost. And if we have, for example, some hardware in our data center, we can move some workloads as it goes, after some time to on premises, while keeping something for occasional load with scalability of the cloud, right? We can do something like that, especially if your platform is hybrid cloud ready, right? So this is an example of how Trusty AI, you can get data in the OpenShift stack for monitoring. It is Prometheus-based, alert manager-based. So you can attach, for example, email or PagerDuty notifications to issues with data drift, to issues with unintended discrimination, right? And precision of your model. You can continuously monitor or get notified about it. As an option, you can trigger retraining pipeline inside OpenShift when this happens, if you choose to do so. Yeah, this slide is pretty much last slide about the fact that generative AI models, techniques, how to measure the quality, they are also available with OpenShift AI. There are samples in documentation. Yeah, thanks so much. I guess it's time, if you have time for a couple of questions.
Yep.
Yeah, this is me in New York just recently. Yeah, and there. Yeah. It's not, no, there is no AI, no single line. The highest quality possible, no AI. Yes,
You talked about unintended discrimination.
Yeah.
With regards to generative AI. There was I think last year or something. So I think Gemini or one of the others went the other way where it was used to actually generate photos of what people like. I don't think you look at Google, but what do you think was the consequence? How did that happen in terms of that unintended consequence?
yeah, certainly. So basically, I guess it's my humble personal opinion that it's fair that Google engineering they are focused on bias, but one of the reasons of unintended discrimination related to bias, you see the last line on this slide. Small AI teams. Those teams is not the whole society of the planet, not the whole humanity, right? It's like 3, 5, 6, 7, 10 very smart people, right? But they have limited viewpoints, physical restriction, right? Which can lead to overlooked or embedded biases unintendedly, So maybe they were thinking, okay, we should not discriminate, I don't know, Caucasian people, or we should not discriminate, I don't know, Asian people. And because of who they are naturally, they didn't want anything back, but they did too much, That's why it started generating some crazy, pictures and photos of historical context, which is not related. So they could have used OpenShift and they could have used the Trusty AI for real-time monitoring, and they would not wait till we all know how they did that job, So they I should send links to them,
I tried it. It's very funny that.
Yeah, but no, it's okay, it's like software engineering, right? So there are mistakes, there's human factor, we need to tolerate that. But again, this is about like, if you do AI strategy today, think about this right now before investing money, because you can invest 1 billion, but it will generate with different data some strange results, and your investments, backfires into you. Like, why would it? You see my point? Same as cost, right? You can innovate, but you need to ready to save money as well. Like with cloud computing, the initial focus was on scalability, which is nice, but then cost efficiency became an important bit because project is done, everything is running, I'm still getting the bill. Like, how can I minimize cost? So think about it, please, before you invest into AI, AI is not a miracle, it is a complicated technology, so, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Michael.
Yeah.
Just in the interest of time, because we have only half an hour left and we are running behind schedule a little bit. So we'll move on. Thank you very much, Michael. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.
If you have